Welcome back to Mark2Mark Sports Conversation with a Difference. I'm your host, Pali Rose. And on my right, we have Mark Ssali, and then on my left, we have Mark Namanya. As usual, we are bringing you a full-fledged, a whole list of interesting things to talk about. And I can't wait to really jump into this. So please stay tuned and, come through with us. So today on our menu, we have the home special, as usual. We'll be looking at Denis Omedi and the Puskás Awards. We have the big abroad. I will be looking into Liverpool and what has been cooking there. And then we have the European football. I'll be looking at Arsenal versus Man United, and then also looking into the Wednesday night anticipation. We have the elsewhere abroad. Of course, we'll be having the NBA talk with Mark Ssali, and then we'll have the boxing thing, going on with Mark Namanya as well. And then we'll come back home, definitely. We'll be looking at golf and many other sports like netball and soccer from Mark Ssali. And then, of course, my take as Paul's Wisdom. And then we get into the betting predictions. So coming up now, we have the home special, okay? The tasty appetizer on the menu today. And guess what's cooking? We have Denis Omedi. I don't know, man, what has been happening. Not in the kitchen, though, on the pitch. We want to see what's going on because there's a very good show that he made that even FIFA couldn't, ignore. So let's see. Let's get into it, Mark Ssali.
Yeah, so what Pal is talking about is Denis Omedi's goal for Kitara against KCCA in the league has been nominated for the Puskás Award. The Puskás Award is an award for the best goal of the year that is given by FIFA, named after Ferenc Puskas, that legendary Hungarian striker who played for Real Madrid in the 50s, in the late 50s, when they won 5 straight Champions League titles between 56 and 60. And it's every year they give it to the best goal that has been scored across the globe. It doesn't matter the competition, it doesn't matter the country. And so, in fact, when you look at the nominees for the Puskás Award for this year, there are 11 nominees and they come from everywhere in the world. Of course, I was happy about the fact that there's 4 Africans on there. Denis Omedi, who is our striker, Uganda Cranes, is keeping company with Paul Onwachi from Trabzonspor, that's the Nigerian from Trabzonspor. There's Yassine Benazir, the Algerian, who scored a wonder goal as well in the qualifiers for AFCON this year. And then you've got Mohamed Kudus. Mohamed Kudus, who is Ghanaian, who plays for West Ham, scored a goal against Freiburg, which was a great solo goal, the Ghanaian. Waltzing through the defense and scoring. There's several other nominees, of course, from all across the world, from Qatar, from Honduras, from everywhere. And of course, there are 2 world-known stars of the moment. One is Alejandro Garnacho from Man United, scored a great scissors kick against Everton. And then the other is Federico Di Marco, the Inter Milan left wing back. So there's quite competition there. All the goals are beautiful when you take a look at them. Of course, I'm going with Omedi. I've been launching a small campaign for him on X actually as well amongst Ugandans. It's not only that he's Ugandan, of course, I'm quite biased there, but also because it was a really, really beautiful goal.
It has everyone
The
talking.
goal he scored, and when you look at it on the screen, is what in football they call a rabona. A rabona is that kick that footballers do when they spin their foot, a kicking foot around the standing leg, and kick the ball with that foot from behind the other foot. And usually they do that because it is their stronger foot. If you're an inverted winger, say playing off the left with your right, there's a chance that you might not be able to cross with your left foot, and so you swing your right foot around it and cross it and all. Omedi was not doing that to cross. He was actually doing it to score. There are two Rabonas actually nominated in there. The other one is from a guy called Jaden Philogene from Hull City. He plays for Hull City in the Championship, so he scored that in the lower division in England. But his was from a closer range. Omedi's was from quite far, so it was outside the 18-yard area actually. Beautiful goal. It's put Uganda on the map. Not only him, but also the voice on there. The commentary is from a Ugandan called Peter Otai. So his voice has also gone global under the circumstances because all the goals are being shown with the commentaries from the different countries. Some are in different languages, but most thankfully in English for the guys who speak English. Now, the excitement, of course, for us is that if he wins this, he becomes a global name.
Oh, yes.
And he's scored quite a few spectaculars like that. We talked about the one he scored against South Africa for Uganda. In South Africa, when we do 2-2 in the CHAN and AFCON qualifiers for 2025. But I remember the excitement I have over that Omedi goal is the same excitement I remember having, and Mark knows this because I've written about it before. When Majid Musisi's name was first nominated for the International Goal Getters competition back in 1992. That competition, I think, is defunct. It's no longer there at all. There's some different other categories now which they've come up with. But that time, Majid Musisi was the best striker in Uganda. In 1992, he had scored 28 goals in the league before he left for France for Stade Rennes. He was just 4 goals away from breaking a record that had stood since 1978, from Jimmy Chironda as top scorer in the league. And he was going to do that easily because he had only just scored 4 goals against KCCA in just the one game before he left. So that record had stood. Of course, Andrew Mukasa has since broken it. But the excitement I had when Majid was nominated that time was big. Yeah, it was the same. He was putting our guy in the global picture. We didn't have the social media we have today. We didn't have the because now Omedi's goal is going all over.
Oh, yes.
Most people at the time had not seen a single Majid Musisi goal because we didn't have the kind of digital gadgets that we have now, spreading things around. But he was keeping company with on that list with such exalted names as Jean-Pierre Papin. He was a Frenchman who was scoring lots of goals then. Marco van Basten, the Dutchman, who had been scoring for the Dutch and AC Milan. Guys like Jürgen Klinsmann had been scoring goals for Bayern Munich and Germany at the time, and then he'd crossed to Inter Milan. There's so many of exalted guys, and there were only 2 Africans in the list, a whole list of international goal getters. Majid Musisi and George Weah. George Weah was playing in France at the time before he moved to AC Milan. He had been playing for Monaco under Arsene Wenger and was playing for Liberia as well. He had also played for PSG, by the way. But the excitement I had then was amazing because I was just a young man going into university, had designs on, of course, not only playing in the league, which I would do the next year, but also writing and covering, doing this coverage and all. And I thought that this had made him famous. I don't know, actually, those goals, never mind the nomination, those goals contributed to him actually getting the contract he got at Rennes as a first Ugandan player in Europe. So you can imagine the opportunities Omedi is going to get because now the whole world knows. It's different from the Musisi era. Right now the whole world knows. I don't know what Mark thinks, but for me, this is a great opportunity. And if Omedi lands a contract in Europe one time soon, it's going to be largely because of this nomination.
Goals like the one Denis Omedi struck for Kitara against KCCA are precisely why we love the game of football. We've watched football for so many years and we've seen just about everything. We've seen possession, we've seen defensive football, we've seen attacking football, we've seen counter-attacks, we've seen so many things. But when a player takes the initiative, when a player displays that sort of arrogance, to pull off that kind of trick, many times you're going to have coaches lambasting him. You're going to have, if it doesn't work out, it will be called, arrogant and, thinking about himself. But it takes some kind of ingenuity and self-belief and confidence to pull off something that Denis Omedi pulled off in that Super 8 game for Kitara against KCA. And believe me, I don't remember what the result was, but we shall talk about Denis Omedi's goal forever and ever. Amen. Because, it was some strike, the control, because he had first control the ball, and then after killing the momentum of the ball, just to how he envisioned that, the goalkeeper was not going to be at the far post, and just the weight of the ball, and just pulling off the execution, it was amazing. And Omedi's goal will live long in the memory. And like Mark said, today we live in a digital age where everything is archived. Yeah. So we can relate with Omedi's goal. Even our children will see the brilliance of Omedi's goal, and even our grandchildren. I talk about Majid Musisi. I do not know if there's. The footage which is living of Musisi's goals today is very limited.
Yeah.
And
truly limited.
Not so many players can relate to Jackson Manja, to Majid Musisi, Listen, I can't relate to Philip Omondi.
Yeah, I know, because of that, yeah?
Yeah, because of that.
Absolutely.
So-
Yeah, so Mark, actually, when you say that now, it reminds me, for Mosis's goals, for example, if you went into Google or onto YouTube or whatever, you'd find some goals from Bossa Sport.
Yeah, but it's,
or
gra-
Dadena
it's
Sport.
grainy footage.
Very few grainy
Yeah,
footage,
yeah.
and maybe one or two from Ren. Almost nothing from Villa. And that's
And that's
Uganda
where-
Cranes.
it's
That's
just
where
something
all
that-
its goals
that's
were.
where- that's where all its
So
goals were.
imagine, yeah, some of the
Are
goals.
they in colored?
Yeah, they are.
Then
Some of the
colour-
goals, some of the goals I described to many people about that Moses scored are just in my head and in the head of several others and all, which will go with us. It's so if maybe the two goals he scored in the Champions League final in '91 against Club Africain when Villa was 6-2.
There's footage for
Because
those
that was in Tunis.
A couple of years ago, Hassan Moviru, remember when Dennis Bergkamp scored that magnificent goal against Newcastle when
Yes.
he turned Nikos Dabizos?
Yes.
That was I think 2002. Hassan Moviru scored the very goal at Nachivo, the very goal
Yes.
the following day. But you cannot, unless you are there, to tell people that Moviru scored the very
Yeah.
goal Bergkamp scored,
Yeah.
the people will think you've
You think you're mad, yeah, and I remember that very well, by the way.
Yeah.
Something interesting. though.
And then the kind of goal Mohamed Kudus scored as
Yes.
well. Mohamed Kudus against Freiburg
Yes.
in the Europa League
Yeah.
last season. I was at Wankuluku. This was, I think, 2003.
Yes.
Hassan Moviru scored the very goal against Iganga.
Yes.
He picked the ball from the center of his own half and he dribbled through Iganga midfielders and defenders like they're not there. And then he placed the ball past the Iganga goalkeeper. The very goal could have scored.
Could have scored.
But unless you had the footage, no one is going to, people will not know how great Hassan Moviru was.
Yeah,
So
imagine that.
I mean, it's unfortunate that there's no digital archiving from that era. There's no footage.
It's unfortunate, yeah. By the way, and of course for us, it's because we've only started keeping records recently. You can imagine. So I'll refer, for example, to the difference. He's talking about 2003.
Yes,
I talked about
that's-
92.
that's a long one.
The rabona was first scored. It's believed was first scored in 1948 by an Argentine called Ricardo Infante for a club called Estudiantes. They were playing against Rosario. So that word rabona actually comes from Argentina. It was part of a statement that was made in a caption under the cartoon of this guy scoring, of Ricardo Infante scoring, in a magazine called El Gráfico. 1948, they're already doing this magazine. This is Argentina. And so this guy, it was about, it was saying the child who skips school. Rabona actually refers to the child who skips school, with permission of the parents, by the way, if you like. Yeah. But so it was baptized then from that goal by Ricardo Infante, and it's been scored over the years severally and all. For us, like Mark says, the one which is going to live in the memory forever.
This
Denis
one
Omedi.
here.
And beyond that, Mark, we've talked about football and how it's very important. The stakes are high. Teams want to win. Results are key. Trophies are important. But for a footballer to have the kind of balls to do what Denis Omedi has, I mean, it takes a certain level of confidence
yeah.
and see what has done for him. I mean, Omedi has become transformed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Scoring goals for Cranes, he's become an integral part of Paul Putt's team. He's got years on his age, and I think the sky is the limit for him. If he keeps his head down, God knows what his career can turn out to be. You can be sure that his next contract, that is the goal, which is going to determine, it will form a very solid bargaining chip for the contract he signs in his next club.
Audacious.
All right,
yes,
that's
yeah.
amazing, guys. At least for now, we have all the digital, machines, available. So live long to see that. At least.
And of course, for those who are watching, please,
Yeah.
you can go and vote as many as you can. I've already voted, and Mark has already voted, because Denis Omedi is Ugandan, and listen, it would be history
Why not?
for Uganda
Yes.
to win the FedEx Puskás goal of the year.
All right, next up, the big abroad, we have Liverpool, where the fans are already engraving their names, yeah?
Yeah.
In the on the Premier League trophy. But wait, however, his boys are creating some magic. Okay, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we also have Pep. Okay, we have Pep until maybe he has mathematically run out of games. I don't know how it's going to be, but what do you think, Maxwell?
No, it's amazing actually what Liverpool have done to start this season. It's only November. It's only a few games in, 13 games in if you like, and they're already looking like champions. I wouldn't give the trophy away in November. I never would. The thing though is that there've been teams. There are teams that have actually, including Liverpool, only recently in 2019-2020, leading by just 8 points after 13 games, went on to win the title. Man United have done it before in the Fergie era. Chelsea, 05-06 under Mourinho, leading after 13 games by 9 points, would go on to win it. There's several teams that have, even Man City in 16-17 actually, there's several teams that have gone on to win the title, having dominated the opening section of the Premiership the way Liverpool have. They've done it in style, and beating Man City at the weekend just cemented, just confirmed their dominance of the Premier League. They are looking strong, they're looking good, they're scoring goals, they are defending well. I mean, against City, Virgil van Dijk produced one of the masterclasses of central man defending that I've seen in European football in recent times. And I'm sure if you asked Erling Haaland, that is the big striker at Man City, he would confirm just how good Van Dijk was on the day. They're playing great out of midfield, and Gravenberch, and the Argentine McAllister is playing great football right now, and they've got options. Curtis Jones was only stepping off the bench at the weekend, and so were a few others that you think that on another day would perhaps be starters. Liverpool looking really, really good at the moment, and looking like they're going to win the title. It doesn't even look like Man City, who have won 4 in the trot, and Pep was showing that he's done 6 out of 7 actually, when Liverpool fans were taunting him. It doesn't look like they are even the challengers. The challengers look like it's Arsenal and Chelsea, and they are far off where Liverpool are now. But no matter how good they're looking, no matter how well they're playing, for me, they are not champions. I don't know Mark says here.
Liverpool are champions. They're going to be handed the trophy tomorrow.
They can be handed it.
Yeah,
I disagree with Mark on that entirely. They are not champions.
The only team which can chase Liverpool in the teams behind them is Man City. And City, they can't stop losing points. Arsenal cannot chase Liverpool. Certainly Chelsea cannot chase Liverpool. Liverpool have the better squad. They have the more balanced team. They have more depth than any of the possible challengers. And listen, for me, I think the biggest story about Liverpool this season is actually Cody Gakpo. From the time when they signed him, I think that was was it mid transfer season, or a couple of seasons ago. I mean, you wondered why Gakpo chose Liverpool over United when he felt United wanted him more. But listen, he's coming to his element right now. He's scoring goals. He's making brilliant runs. He's shooting at goal. He's running the channels very, very well. And all of a sudden, he's taking a very big claim for a starting position in that team. And we know how much firepower Liverpool has. Mo Salah is scoring goals. Actually, Mo Salah has, and I'm using this relatively, but he's gone off the boil a bit. Missed a penalty against Real Madrid. Was guilty of scoring that opening chance against Man City to take the game to 2-0 before he scored the penalty. But because they've got so much more and they're creating chances, every now and then they're going to score goals, and they have so many goals in their team. I look at City, and we've always wondered who the most important player at Man City was, and I always felt it was Kevin De Bruyne. Haaland will always score the goals. He's been banging the goals. Yes. But City without KDB half the team, and you're talking about how impeccable Van Dijk was defending against Man City. He was guilty of a chance which is squandered. I think KDB should have punished him.
Yes, the one mistake he made would have put City back in.
Put City back in. I don't think KDB is 100% fit, which is why he started off the bench. But all said and done, I only see Liverpool actually stretching that lead. I don't see it getting narrower. And Mark is waiting for Liverpool to suffer their blip. Believe in me, the City blip is still going on. I think Liverpool can actually get stronger.
Now that's
which is frightening.
That's why I slightly disagree with Mark. I know. I mean, Liverpool are good. They can get better because he's talked about. I mean, the firepower they have. Diaz has not been scoring lately. We know he will score. Darwin Núñez can't score. We know Federico Chiesa will come from the injury list and get on there and start scoring the Italian. And then Salah will continue to bang them in. But still, even with that, I don't see how Liverpool can go an entire season in the Premiership without a blip. That blip will happen at some point, and they'll drop some points. Now, unlike Mark, I believe City's, and I believe, unlike
already
Mark,
their consistency.
unlike Mark, I believe City's blip has ended. They have a game against
That's what you've been
Nottingham,
saying.
Nottingham Forest on Wednesday night, and then on the weekend they went to Crystal Palace. I think they're about to start their run, even if Forest actually are playing very, very good
You know,
football
that's what we've been
and winning.
hoping
But
for.
the thing is,
I think City are
really-
about to start their run again, and I think that Arsenal and Chelsea will compete.
in the new format of
Will
the,
compete
in the
with
new
Liverpool.
format of the Champions League, I think Liverpool have done themselves a world of good by winning all their matches, which means that they're going to have a relatively easier fixture
Yes.
in the next round. And Man City are in all sorts of problems after smothering that 3-3 draw against Feyenoord. So you think City actually are going to have the more difficult games in this period. So I mean, everything is falling in place for Liverpool. Apart from Mo Salah's contractual issues, which are becoming protracted, I think Salah probably has a bigger deal out and is trying to twist the knife in the contractual negotiations. I think that's Liverpool's issues are non-football. I mean, purely footballing issues. I don't see anyone who's going to go.
City's
Okay.
blip is over. Ruben Diaz is back. He made the mistake for the second goal. He gave away the ball, but at least he's back for City. And so is Jeremy Doku. So is Jack Grealish. So is Savinho. And even KDB is only going to get fitter from now on. He looked fat. And he looked fat, to be honest, in that game against Liverpool, and missed that chance because I thought so many things were going on in his head. But this guy's only going to get better.
Unless they're going to get the best player in European football, Rodri
back.
playing tomorrow.
Guys,
I don't see
time will tell.
anything changing in that.
No, he's not coming back soon.
I mean, they were porous. Every time Liverpool broke through the halfway line, you felt like they were going to get to Otega's goal. I mean, the Rodri factor is massive. They're missing Rodri in that midfield.
It's huge.
And every team right now, Bournemouth, name it, they're just running at City.
No, they will get Kovacic back in December, and then and I don't think that because Gundogan at the moment has been doing all this job on his own. It's tough, and they're asking the young Rico Lewis to step into midfield and execute in very, very tough
And
conditions.
Mark2Mark and Liverpool played. They've beaten Man United, they've beaten Chelsea, they finished playing Arsenal, they won 1 draw, they took care of Man City.
In the past, when Liverpool have lost the title, in the recent past, when Liverpool have lost titles, they were in charge of, including with Jurgen Klopp and with Rafa Benitez before that. It wasn't because they lost to the big boys. Yeah, there was a time when a 3-3 draw with Crystal Palace put paid to Liverpool's chances. Okay, there was a time when there was Steven Gerrard slipped and allowed Chelsea in. But there will be a blip. I don't know if it will be the big boys or the small ones. There'll be a point where Liverpool will drop points, and then we will begin to question not their character, because they've been together for quite a bit, but the pressure will perhaps start telling on Arne Slot in the dugout. Right now, he's all smiles, great quotes and things like that. He's having a field day. There's no team that can go through an entire premiership with that. Even when Arsenal finished unbeaten in 2004, there were times when they were not winning football games and they almost lost that lead. Until, actually, I remember that Arsenal lost a game to Man United in the FA Cup final on a weekend. Lost
to Chelsea.
They lost to Chelsea in the Champions League in midweek to Wayne Bridge goal.
They were 2-0 down to Liverpool.
To Liverpool, exactly. And then Thierry Henry stepped up. Yeah. So that happens. It comes a point where
but Arsenal,
you get tested.
Arsenal won the title eventually, and Liverpool will suffer a blip and still win the Premier League.
Okay.
Enough.
They're not champions for me, not yet.
And I hate to say this, but I have to say it, Liverpool are going to win the Premier League.
Right.
They'll cost the title.
Not that I want that, but anyway, let's see. Time will tell. Now, let's look at the 2 stadium tragedies that happened this week. What do you have to say about that?
Well, the one which happened in Guinea was really, really very sad. As of Monday afternoon, 59 people had been pronounced dead.
How many?
59 people.
59.
And you can imagine when 59 people are pronounced dead, then you're going to have a couple of more casualties who are in critical condition. And it happened it was a domestic home game between 2 clubs. That was Zerokore and Labe. It wasn't even in Conakry. So 2 teams which were engaging in a domestic encounter. I think one of the sides was protesting the refereeing decision, and then they started pelting missiles onto the pitch. And before you know it, hell broke loose, and police was firing tear gas. and it was a stampede which claimed so many lives. And I mean, we've had stadium disasters in this country, no, hooligans in this country. We've never had a stadium disaster anywhere remotely close to that. And I mean, it's a pity that 59 is a big number. One person
It's a
dying
big
is
number.
bad enough. 59 is a big number, especially with 59 and with many other people who are in hospital. Apparently, a medical personnel say that the bodies lined up at the hospital. They run until as far as your eye can see, like the mosh is full and can only become bigger. Quite terrible. I know that just in August this year, the Guinean Football Federation had a very hotly contested election in which Abubakar Sampil became the FA president. But typical with most African FA football organizations, you always have a lot of patronage and infighting over finances, over warring factions, and apparently this debacle has been linked to some competing factions between the federation, which is absurd. So, I mean, we pray for the souls of those who have done or who have gone, but a stadium tragedy of that kind should never happen.
Should never
Anywhere
No,
in life,
yes.
anywhere in sport.
It's terrible, yeah, because Mark, what happened is the stadium disasters that involved Liverpool. One was domestic against Sheffield Wednesday in England, and the other was in Europe at the Health Stadium disaster when they were playing Juventus in that final, the Champions League final,
yes.
85, yeah. Those two tragedies changed European football forever. All the precautionary measures, all the security measures, all the new rules to how pitches are, to all-seater stadiums, to the nets around the playing field, to everything, was because of the things that happened. Because it was so bad then, Liverpool were actually banned. Liverpool, along with other English clubs, were banned from European football between 86 and 90, because of that. Because of that stadium disaster and how it was adjudged that Liverpool fans had actually started it. And that's the final they lost, by the way, to Juventus, that Boniek goal. Then they have, so they changed, European football changed to forever. I think in Africa we're going to have to go really, really drastic. The same precautions, of course, because FIFA and CAF standards are such that all the major stadiums across Africa are all seater now, and they have all those other precautionary measures that are in place in Europe. The difference might be that if you step away from the main national stadium and the capital of a typical African country, sub-Saharan African country, it's not the same. The controls are not the same.
Yeah.
The stadium itself is not the same in terms of standards and everything. And everything else, the control of the fans and everything is not the same. So we need for that to be standard across, because like he's saying, this was not at the main stadium in Conakry that the disaster happened. It happened outside of Conakry. So we have got, I mean, this has got to stop, because I think in Africa we've had a few. There was one in Congo.
There was one in Congo, there's been one in Ghana,
Yes.
Hearts of Oak against Asante Kotoko.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of times, even in South Africa, there was at Ellis Park a couple of years ago in that derby between Mamelodi and Orlando Pirates. So I think incidents of this nature, however tragic as they are, I think offer football a time to recollect, do some soul searching, and then do not let the souls of those who have departed go in vain. And it transformed English football, actually. English football right now is the safest across all the major leagues, because you don't have those fences anymore.
Yeah.
All stadiums are all-seater. You don't have any fans standing in the Premier League, because all these were reactions to what happened in 1989, the Hillsborough disaster.
Hillsborough, yeah.
And I do hope that at least for the Guinean Federation, and even the president Mamadou Doumbia is very, very keen on interest to the football supporter, and has been he's been informed about what transpired. And believe you me, there must be some heads rolling in Guinea right now, because you know who Doumbia is an African despot who loves the game of football.
Unfortunately, some of the things have to happen first for people to wake up.
Yeah, I mean, which is unfortunate. Which shouldn't be, because human life, and many of those, by the way, 59 as we speak, that number can only go up, cannot go any lower. Many of them are children and kids, who are just victims, because when there's a stampede, everyone is rushing for his own dear life, and kids get crushed in the melee. Very unfortunate.
All right, now on to the European football. Looking at Arsenal versus Man City. I don't know, these two have, put up a stage for some vintage, Premier League drama. But anyway, and then also we have, while at that we have the Wednesday night anticipation. Me from here, I'll be, ready to grab my popcorn bag and see how it goes. So let's dive into that and see what it's all about.
Well, Arsenal United is always the biggest game, certainly in these parts.
Always, yes.
Because of the Sir Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger era. These are the teams which dominated English football at the boom of television in this country.
Yes.
And I think for Arsenal it was the Kano effect, I believe. And then, of course, United were their rivals in that period. That rivalry has diminished in recent times because both teams have fallen on a lean spell. But it is always a big game, regardless of where United and Arsenal are sitting on the table. And it helps that going into this game, both teams scored a combined 9 goals. United scoring 4 against Everton, Arsenal scoring 5. Arsenal looking close to their very best with Martin Odegaard back. You have Bukayo Saka back, firing on all cylinders. You have Kai Havertz as well, Leandro Trossard. I think Arsenal are nearing full strength. United as well looked the part in the game against Everton, and it will be interesting to see, how this United team copes against Arsenal. United, I think that was, if I'm to be correct, perhaps their best performance of the season against Everton. They looked fluid, created chances, but they also required some heroics from Andres Onana at the back to maintain that clean sheet. I think United are still a work in progress in terms of mastering the famed 3-4-3 that Ruben Amorim is trying to build at the club, which was his philosophy at Sporting Lisbon. Arsenal, for me, will be the marginal favourites in this game. They're playing at home. They're the more settled squad, more established in terms of the coherence and the sort of team which Mikel Arteta will put out there. I think he knows his team perhaps better than Amorim, who's only taken over the reins. And I think it will be an interesting game between two sides who will want to play some free-flowing football.
Yeah, it's that derby, if you like. It's not, they're not in the same city and all, but in the sense of how important that fixture was in the Premiership 20 odd years ago. I could call it a derby. Is not as important, to be honest, in the bigger picture in the EPL as it was then. I just see I gauge from the reactions. Back then, there's so much hatred between United and Arsenal fans that you'd expect, even just in a country like Uganda, for there to be fights breaking out in the football shacks in Uganda or the bars themselves and all.
And they used to break down. They used to break out.
Which I don't think will happen on Wednesday night. There might be even
you don't
more
come
cordial.
branded on a menu tab.
There'll be more cordial, more cordial relationship between fans, I think. And you won't see on the pitch the battles we had when Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira came face to face in the tunnels and everything, or when Martin Keown attacked Ruud van Nistelrooy, or when the Neville brothers went after Antonio Reyes. Those days, those hot days, that kind of thing. You're not going to see it on the pitch tomorrow, I'm thinking. But because United are on the recovery path and Arsenal still have designs on the title, it remains very important and will be quite competitive. Now, United are a work in progress. What Ruben Amorim has been doing over the last 2 games, actually 3, let's say 3.
So
Ipswich, and then midweek against Bordeaux, and then at the weekend against Everton, his first win in the Premiership, is to chop and change to see which players are going to be able to fit into that 3-4-3 system of his, because it's been a drastic change in the approach for United players, and so they are still acclimatizing. So he's been chopping and changing, giving as many people a chance as possible to see which ones will fit best before he comes up with his first choice 11, the one that everybody will be, jumping off people's lips and all, because at some point I'm sure it will be. So this game comes a little early in that experiment, because Amorim himself was saying, you know what, because I came in the middle of a season, I don't have as many training sessions as I'd like to have to impart. These guys are going to have to learn on the job. And I understand that perfectly, which is why, you saw when he started against Bordeaux, he started different guys and then started a different set of attackers. He changed from Garnacho to Zirkzee between games. So Zirkzee then started as one of the two inside forwards against Everton. Then he changed the wing backs. He changed in the middle of the game. He changed two of the back three, just so he could see how the others can fit in. Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire coming on for De Ligt and Mazraoui. Mazraoui actually, who's been perhaps the best performer for United in this spell when Amorim has taken over. So he's still chopping and changing. Today the combination of the double pivot is Casemiro and Ugarte. Tomorrow it's Ugarte and Mainu. When he first started, Eriksen was one of the two actually in his very first game. And he's still looking for the best partnership in there as well. So you can see that all over the pitch, there's still experiments there. But history has also taught us that in the games when United have been least expected to beat Arsenal is when they have. And in the games when United have been way too confident about their own form and all, is when actually Arsenal have punished them. Now, I don't know which one of the two teams is feeling that right now. I believe that Arsenal would feel like the superior side, and that United are the underdogs. Only thing is that, of course, United sounded that warning with the 4 goals against Everton, so perhaps there will be a little less complacency, a little less arrogance from Arsenal approaching the game.
The one thing which has changed about United since Erik ten Hag left is that all of a sudden there are goals in United. There are goals in United.
18-3.
Under Ten Hag, for some reason, the same players, there are no goals. You'd watch United struggling to score against just about each and every team. Right now, from the time when Van Nistelrooy took over and then Amorim, their goals.
Their goals, yeah.
Their goals, their chances, and once a team is scoring goals, then they have a chance in any game.
Yeah. One of the things that has happened, of course, is that under Van Nistelrooy, the confidence began to get back. The buoyancy from change, the momentum, guys picked up. So Amorim has taken over when 1 or 2 guys are actually feeling more confident now than they were a month ago, say, especially Marcus Rashford. But there's a few others in the United ranks as well. And then, of course, it helps, like I said, like Joshua Zirkzee just got himself on the score sheet. So he's looking good.
And then, of course, Amad Diallo, who I think was denied many chances under Ten Hag, which I never know why, is looking very good. Yeah, very good.
That's one of the things that's happening. Actually, Ahmad is perhaps the most important player right now. Him and Mazraoui, you could say is where the most important players have been actually for Amorim in terms of productivity since he started, and they're actually incidentally operating off the same flank. Mazraoui in the back three, Ahmad as the wing back, and you didn't think Ahmad would play as a wing back. You thought it would be either Mazraoui or Diallo, but he's doing a great job there. He can even do a greater job if he becomes one of the inside forwards as a 10, I think, because he'll be facing goal directly, not having to travel so many distances to shoot, and will be having options on either side of him.
He's actually getting the pressing game
very well. He's pressing well, but his passing and vision is great. Yeah. Now, the other reason why Amorim's team is scoring more than Ten Hag's was, apart from the confidence and all, is that while Man United, and this is something that people need to take note of, while Man United players are fighting to adjust to a new system, to find their way in there, to understand their roles properly and everything, and to come to gel as a team, the opponents themselves are struggling to defend against something different. Yes. And so, even in the game against Ipswich, United could have killed that game. It was a 1-1 draw, Amorim's first game. But if Garnacho had been sharp that day and Rashford, United would have run away with that game the same way they did against Everton, or the same way they bounced back against Bordeaux. Because one of the things that is happening is that teams are finding it difficult to defend against the wing backs, because some of the previous assignments they had, they have to come inside to defend. If you're fullback, for example, you have to come inside to defend against Garnacho, and then you're leaving that place wide open, because Garnacho is pulling you in. You think he's playing wing, but he's actually playing as an inside forward. So he comes in and you have to defend against him. Or because there are 3 forwards, you have to help the 2 centre backs because they are outnumbered. Last night, against Everton, it was Ssali and Bruno, who was the second 10, and Rashford. So there are 3 inside. One of the fullbacks perhaps steps in, or a midfielder steps in to help with one of them, and then spaces are created. Then one of the things United is doing is then they're playing the through ball into those players, or playing a ball over the top into spaces left by fullbacks for the wing backs to run into. So Ahmad and Dalot on the other side have been getting a lot of ball in spaces where there are no people to mark them. So I remember that Antonio Conte walked into the Premiership and won the Premiership in his first season with Chelsea because teams didn't understand how to defend properly against a back 3. His was not a 3-4-3, it was a 3-5-2 actually. But you can imagine that in that season, the Nigerian Victor Moses became one of the best players in England. And even earned himself a transfer to Inter Milan and the Italian Serie A. I mean, this is an average talent who all of a sudden looked so good because they couldn't be stopped. Teams struggled for most of the season to adjust to what Antonio Conte was doing. So Amorim has an advantage in there. There will be teams that will struggle to understand how the movements are. Rashford, for example, has had balls over the top, over the last defender, played into him, from which he could have scored against Ipswich and against Bordeaux. He got a goal making that run against Everton because all of a sudden it's not only him you're watching. There's another guy behind him. There's Ssali, and Bruno is not too far behind. It might be Rasmus Højlund in another game. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, but Mark, I think from United's perspective, one area where they'll have to be very, very wary of going to this game is the set plays. I think Arsenal are the most deadly team in the Premier League in set plays. The 5-2 victory over West Ham was started by that header by Gabriel.
Yes.
And we've seen Arsenal punish teams from set plays time and time again.
Even Sporting Lisbon in midweek.
Even Sporting Lisbon in midweek when they drew in Man City 2-2. I mean, their set plays are very, very hard to defend. And I'm not too sure United are very equipped to stop Arsenal from those set plays. I think, and I mean, it is a credit to Mikel Arteta because you know how Arsenal, they've got all these silky moves and all these flair players. When you have the movement of Trossard and Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, and the likes, we know all that's well documented. But to see Arsenal become such a deadly team from the set plays is a testament to the work they've put in becoming very, very undefendable from set plays. And United will have to be very, very worried because big games of this nature, I call it a big game because of the historical sentiments around it, are decided by small details. And I think United will have to work to have
I agree with Mark on the set pieces. It's Arsenal are devastating from those, and United are going to have to be big and to stand strong, to be resilient. The other area of worry for United, again, is for us, especially where Arsenal are concerned, is in the back 3, because what happens with the back 3 as opposed to a flat 4? A flat back 4 means that the 2 central defenders are playing quite close to each other, either in a straight line or one ahead of the other as a sweeper. But when you have a back 3, there's a bit of isolation because one of the 3 defenders is actually covering the left, as you've seen with Martinez or Luke Shaw, and the other is covering the right, as we've seen with Mazraoui. That leaves this Delete or this Maguire standing on his own against the firepower of Arsenal, the ability of Odegaard to pass, the ability of Saka to beat that man wide and come inside, and the runs that Trossard or Martinez make. United are going to be exposed.
If you visualize
there,
Bukayo Saka against Harry Maguire, that's a no contest.
In a one-on-one. And if you draw one of them out of position, then Kai Havertz will step into there unmarked and have a run at goal. Have a run at goal, and he's finishing greatly. So that's where there's a vulnerability in the back 3 for United, which they really have to work on. I think it's the 2 pivots, the defensive midfielders have got to double back. One of the things, of course, that happens with the back 3.
Ogate will be
very critical. Absolutely. But also the wing backs now. Dalot and Ahmad have been bombing forward in the first games for Amorim against supposedly weaker opposition. So, but now, instead of a back 3, Arsenal is going to force United into that becoming a back 5. So Dalot and Ahmad are going to find themselves in more defensive positions than attacking positions when they were like they were against Everton. So therein lies the work for Man United, because like Mark said, and I agree, since we've been disagreeing a lot, but I agree on this one. Arsenal go into this game as the favourites.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm waiting to grab my popcorn, like I said. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So right now we have Elsa abroad. Definitely, guys, we never disappoint. We are going to bring to you some of the news from the NBA with Ssali, and then we'll go into the boxing bits. You know, with Usyk and Fury. That's
With
Mark Namanya.
Okay.
So Maxa, let's go quick.
Okay, let me do the NBA very quickly.
Yes.
I'll divide it into conferences just so I can wrap it up. What's happening right now is that teams have played about, say, 19 to 20 games. What's happening in the East is that the Cavaliers continue to lead. They're playing great basketball. We've talked about them on the different episodes before. But now they've lost 3 games. The last time we were here, they hadn't even lost one. They had only lost 1. Now they've lost 3. But they still lead, and the Boston Celtics, who are the champions, are behind them. The surprises in the East are from the fact that, say, Orlando Magic are high up there, and yet you still have the 76ers down this way. And the Indiana Pacers also struggling in and around the playing places. Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner and the Cameroonian Puskas and all. I expected that they would be further up the division than they are now, but there's been a great surprise in the way that 1 or 2 of them has played. I will tell you one thing: the Bucks were bottom of the division when we last talked about the NBA. Now they are back. They've bounced themselves back into the playoff places. Giannis and these guys are doing a great job. But my Chicago Bulls are struggling terribly, so terribly that now they lie behind the team which was the worst in the Eastern Conference last year, the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons, of course, have Cade Cunningham and a few other rookie pieces that have been put around them. But a team like Chicago should be playing better and winning more games than them. So that's the Eastern Conference for you. The Western Conference, that's where the biggest problems are. I mean, the teams which played in the playoffs last year are out of playoff positions right now. It's only a quarter. If you say 20 games out of 82, you've only played a quarter of the season. But hey, look at this. Completely bottom, you've got teams like the Timberwolves, the Sacramento Kings, and even the Pelicans are struggling. These teams played playoff basketball last year. The Pelicans actually completely at the bottom of the Western Conference. The Timberwolves and the Kings. The Kings, you can imagine, this is a roster that has De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and Keegan Murray. Down this way. OKC, the Thunder, still playing very well, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is looking like an MVP. He might lose me $100. Mark knows I have a bet with somebody on a forum about who will be.
Jokic is going to be the MVP.
Well, but SG is looking the part right now. The Jokic is talking about is also struggling. The Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns, with all their firepower. Phoenix Suns, of course, have KD playing with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker and all. These 2 teams are actually in and around play-ins. Even the Lakers have a better record right now. LeBron and company have a better record than Denver. So it's early days, but the Western Conference is looking that terrible. And in the Western Conference,
The Warriors have also fallen off a bit.
Yes, yeah.
They've been looking.
They've actually dropped behind Ja Morant and the big Grizzlies into 4th. Yeah, so Ja Morant is actually playing ball. That's the other player who's outstanding in the NBA right now, outside of Shai Gilgeous. He really is balling, Ja Morant. I was watching him the other night against the Indiana Pacers, and I was like, how do you stop somebody who moves like this, who flies like this? Injuries do. So that's the NBA.
All right. So let's get into the what?
Well, we have
Boxing,
the big boxing world championship fight between Alexander Usyk from Ukraine and Tyson Fury, the Englishman. These 2 giants fought in February this year for the right to become the first undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. The heavyweight division used to be the blue ribbon division of boxing, you know. In the eras gone by, Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, and the likes. Even in the 80s, when Tyson was at the peak of his powers, it kind of nosedived a bit when you had all sorts of characters, Chris Bide, and Chris Araola, and who becoming champions. But I think right now, I think there's been some bit of competition in the last couple of years. That trilogy between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, I thought it brought the division back up to where it belonged, because those were three very, very thrilling fights between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. But right now, I think we have the first undisputed heavyweight champion of the world in 24 years. That is Alexander Usyk. And this is a guy who's emerged from the lower weights, was a cruiserweight, where he unified all the belts before moving into heavyweight. Actually, Usyk is not a typical heavyweight. He's a bit like
reminds me of Evander
Holyfield.
Yes,
a guy who's just moved to the ladders to become heavyweight. It's not like, say, the Lennox Lewis's, the Riddick Boys, George Foreman, Mike Tyson. These were natural heavyweights. So it's testament to the kind of skill he has. I mean, to have beaten Anthony Joshua twice, and then he beat Tyson Fury convincingly in that fight. It could have been stopped in the 9th round. He had Tyson Fury badly hurt, and now he's actually also beaten Daniel Dubois. He beat him for the IBF championship. So you could say he's beaten just about each and every heavyweight there is, and he's unbeaten. I think he's actually going to defend the belt. It will be a difficult fight. I think Tyson Fury is 6'9", he's got the best footwork. He doesn't look, he doesn't move like a guy who's that heavy, who's that big. He's got such a very, very good ring IQ. But I just think Usyk has something up against his sleeve. He knows how to score. He knows how to guard himself. He knows how to, to use the gifts he has. His ring craft is such that I think he'll do the business. It will be a difficult fight, make no mistake, against the bigger man, a guy who's dominated the division. So that fight will be on December 21st. It's going to be staged in Riyadh. Riyadh has become the Las Vegas of heavyweight boxing because we do know what the Saudis have done, trying to capture the global viewership of sport in this era. So that's going to be, I think, the next biggest non-footballing event this year, because it will be held on 21st of December in Riyadh, and the world will be watching. It will be fireworks between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury for the right to become the heavyweight champion of the world. Of course, since then, Usyk has relinquished one belt, the IBF, which was fought for between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, because he was mandated to have a defense against the number one contender who was Dubois, and he decided not to go that path. He decided to hold on to the 3 belts and fight Tyson Fury in the rematch.
Wow, brilliant. Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome.
And now we are back home, and first on the tee is golf with Namanya.
Well, golf, we had our girls, the national ladies team, who competed in the All Africa Trophy Challenge, which was in Agadir in Morocco. That's the equivalent of the All Africa Challenge Trophy, which the boys competed for in Zimbabwe, in Bulawayo, where they finished 6th. This time around, we had our national team, which had Puskas Award. We had Martha Babirie. Those are 2 former champions of the Uganda Golf Open, alongside Meron Chomugisha. Meron is quite a hard hitter. I mean, when you see her driving the ball and striking irons, she hits balls like she's masculine. She's got so much power, in her swing. And they traveled to Agadir at a course called Tazexut, where they competed against 21 other countries from all over the continent. You had Morocco, you had Zambia, you had Kenya, you had Tanzania, you had Egypt, South Africa, you had Angola and Tunisia and Algeria and many other teams. So the format for that tournament was medal. It was a medal format where they were taking the 2 best scores from your 3 golfers. So in this case, we had Martha Babirie, Puskas Award, and Gloria Chomugisha. So for over the 3 days, every 2 best scores on the day were tallying up to the performances of every country. In the end, Uganda finished 4th, which was a decent performance. 4th out of 21 in the continent was a wonderful performance. I think Morocco won it, South Africa was 2nd, Kenya was 3rd, our girls finished 4th. So I think that was a fantastic result from there. Kudos to the team. Flavia Namakula, who is the national team coach. Flavia, also a professional golfer, actually she doubles as the coach for the women and the men. And wonderful work from Gregory Mbaguta, the team manager, and of course, Doreen Chomgesha. And the minister did express his confidence in the team when they were going there. And actually, he said that the First Lady was very, very keen on the results coming from Morocco, because typically, I would imagine the First Lady would be interested in seeing how the girls perform.
Yes.
Sport is usually dominated by the males, but this was a team of girls flying our flag in Morocco, and they did very, very well.
Very well.
So finishing fourth was a good performance. Hopefully next year they can go higher and finish third or second.
Wow. And right now we have Ssali bringing us the triple threat. That's pool, netball, and what? Basketball?
Basketball, yeah. So I'll do a quick roundup there. For starters, netball. The Shikrens, the Ugandan national team, are preparing to go and play in the Africa Cup of netball. That starts December 9th. It will run between 9th and 14th, I think. So they'll be leaving at the weekend actually. They are almost leaving. They've been training quite a bit. They are looking really strong. They're looking good. They are coming off, of course, the back of that great third place finish in the first 5 series in New Zealand, where they beat England and Jamaica, and only finished behind New Zealand and Australia, and reminded the world about their prowess. Now netball, of course, you know.
And there's no harm finishing behind Australia
and New Zealand. Yeah, it's not a shame at all.
They're the two top ranked teams in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So they came. They beat South Africa as well. They beat England, South Africa, and Jamaica in that tournament.
Yeah.
And South Africa, their biggest threat in the Africa Cup. It's a 9-team tournament for the ladies, and it's a Commonwealth game largely, and it's about our region. Netball is about our region. So you will find that the 9 teams are South Africa, Lesotho, Eswatini, and Namibia. That's all from the southern part.
Malawi.
Then you have Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Zambia from East and Central as well, and then Uganda and Kenya. That's the lineup for the women. And then for the men, you only take out Uganda and put Burundi. The rest are the same. So the team, that's how the Africa Cup is going to be in Namibia. It's going to be great. You're going to have a chance of being crowned African champions, and hopefully they can go and do it. In the netball, we'll see that government is fully supporting them, supported them quite a bit. New Zealand trip actually cost government over 300 million. Yeah, the New Zealand trip.
I mean, tickets. New Zealand is at the end of the world.
At the end of the world, yeah. So now they're going to spend quite a bit on them as well. Away from the netball, where the basketball is concerned, we've been covering the City Oilers and their campaign in the Elite 16 in Nairobi. Last week I kept saying Kigali instead of Nairobi. I think it spoke to where I'd rather have been. No offense, Nairobi.
and no prizes for guessing why Mark was preferring.
No offenses, Nairobi. They've done a great job in hosting this tournament. It's been a long time.
But we shall do more lobbying to FIBA
to go to the final 8, which I'm sure will be done in Kigali. Yeah. Nairobi have done a great job. They haven't been hosting international tournaments in recent times, so they've done a great job. And unfortunately for us, we've had to shoot before City Oilers actually play their semi-final against Nairobi City Thunder. So we are at the semi-final stage. City Oilers won 2 games in the group. They beat Matero Magic from Zambia, and they also beat Fox Sport from South Sudan, quite easily, by the way. And then they lost a game to the Burundians, Ururani, the champions, a game which they led by 20 points at some point, but collapsed. Their offense collapsed. They were not moving the ball well. They made so many turnovers, and Ururani punished them. Eventually, and also there were some size issues that came into question after Israel Otobo, their big Nigerian, fouled out. So the backups from the bench are a bit questionable for City Oil. They have Mark2 and they also have, we said as a big, they have Titus Luwal, and they have Duane stepping off the bench, Dawuna rather, stepping off the bench to help them. He's got some size on him and he's got a great leap. But they're not big enough. But however, they should have won that game against Ururani. It was that bad game management towards the end of, especially in the third, but also in the fourth quarter, they didn't play well. But if it's only 2 teams that are supposed to go from this elite 16 to the last 8, and so City Oilers needed to at least beat Nairobi. Last night, they needed to have beaten Nairobi to get into the final. The other semi-finals between Ururani and Creole Stars. Creole Stars are a team from Cape Verde, and that was also going to be a very, very tough matchup. But we will come back and update on City Oil and their exploits in the next episode. Yeah, so away from them, The one that I really wanted to mention as well, because I attended on Saturday, and I spent half the day and half the night at Lugogo Indoor Stadium, was the National Pool Championship, the one sponsored by Nairobi, which is an annual event. It's 4 years now running since when Nairobi have actually been spending millions upon millions on this tournament, because it's worldwide. It starts across the entire country, and then the best players in the country converge on Lugogo for the grand finale. But the competition is all over the country, and Pool have shown great organization, great coverage of national coverage, because they cover the entire country, and they've shown good strategies in capturing and keeping corporate sponsorship, because it's not easy in sport. But now boys are not about to leave Pool because of the mileage they get from that, and that is all the work that Pool Association have done. So I sat through these games, watched them quite interestingly until the final where Mansour Bwanika beat Ibra Sejemba in the men's tournament to win the car. Mansour Bwanika had won it in 2018, he won it again. I watched all of these guys, even the guys I had not known before in Pool. I learned them that day. If you spend half your day there, you're going to learn about these guys.
And listen, and I'd encourage Paul to watch next year's edition. I mean, there's some guys who I mean, they've got magical talent. I mean, you see the things they do on that table.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. And Mark, not only the guys, even the girls.
Oh yes.
The girls. Marion Chisache won the car as she won the final, and that was against Nanda. She beat Nanda in the final. But these girls are actually number one in the whole of Africa in pool.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the guys are number 2 in the entire Africa behind South Africa. We are such good pool players in Uganda that it's just amazing. Some of these guys, I've seen them every once in a while when I've gone through, say, a function or walked through a pub, and all you see these guys playing, and I didn't know they were actually so good that they would beat the rest of the country and get to the finals and compete like this. Now, a measure of how good we are in Africa is that the defending champion, Caesar, came off a plane, a Uganda Airlines plane, at 5 a.m. from Zambia. He had been playing in one of those battles from which these guys make money, for a tournament that was starting at 9, which is why he got beaten in the quarterfinals by, in the last 16 actually, by the guy, a little man called Dan Mubiru. They call him Salongo. I mean, the guy can barely look above the table, but he's so good, he'll still beat you.
But now that people are level where he gets to see all the angles and...
Yeah. I don't know if they're related, but yeah, in terms of stature, they are. Yeah, he's talking about Dan Mobiru, Japan, the footballer, former police officer, who played for forever. So, but yeah, it was quite exciting. And I thought I needed to say something about pool and congratulations.
No, I love it there. I've attended the pool finals, and the organization is fantastic. Yes. I mean, what Nile Special does for that game is brilliant. And the Pool Association of Uganda, I think, is very organized.
Yeah, Bob Trubish and his team.
George Atongole. It's not very easy to put together a nationwide event of any nature, of any magnitude, and they've done it years down the road, and I think you've got to give them the props.
Absolutely.
Oh, amazing. Now on to Paul's wisdom, yeah? I think it's like the juiciest, it should be the juiciest part, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but anyway, you know, they say that wisdom comes with age. Yeah. But I think I would love to say that in this case, it comes with, having these interesting sports conversations and all. And one thing I've learned, over time is that football is it's like relationships, man. You put in 90 minutes of your effort only for VAR to come and just ruin it in the end. I don't know how people do it, but yeah, that's how it is. And yes, I think I should also consider, getting invested into the pool thing. I was thinking about boxing, but I think I may put that at the back for now. Right now, guys.
You want to be part of the corporate boxing?
Interesting. You want to fight Laura? You're not in the same, I don't think you're in the same weight category.
She needs to be ready.
Yeah, but Paul, I've been impressed from just our group, Mark2Mark. I realize how much time you're putting into sport now, how much football you've actually watched. I think actually last week you probably watched more football than Mark.
She watched more football than Mark. Yes.
I was not updating.
I was quite impressed with that. And if you take the same interest in pool, you'll find that it's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game.
And she can take you in the same interest in golf. Because I've noticed she
Yes.
has a thing for games which have
Yes.
got sticks and holes, so she can take it.
Yeah,
she
and
can
balls
take-
and things like that.
golf,
Yeah, so golf.
But I've tried pool before, but like vacations and all that. Then it had become quite, it can be,
Addictive?
yes. And then I just like
Which is
left
not,
it a
which
bit.
is something, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I see it as a,
Even golf is addictive as well.
Yeah, actually, all these sports are addictive. Even if
And
it's
the
like,
first time I tried golf, I even got blisters. I didn't have these gloves,
Yeah.
but everyone was like, the way you throw your, looks like you've been at this thing for quite some time. I said, no. You never know.
I
You
mean, it's
never
a
know.
learning process. So I'll sponsor your next glove on the course. So you
Okay.
take up the game.
All right, now we're going into the betting predictions, the most exciting thing. Well, here at Mark2Mark, we just advise that, you sit through it as we guide you through these predictions. So the first one is Arsenal Man United. I don't know if this is a banker or we're just throwing, caution to the wind.
Arsenal Man United Wednesday night.
Yes.
Yeah, many people would not like to hear this, but I'm actually going for Arsenal win. The home win for Arsenal. It won't be easy. It should be an exciting game of football, but I think Arsenal have the edge for now. So they'll win. Arsenal winning. I say 2-1.
Where is the loyalty? System I want to say.
I'm going for 2-1
In favor.
Manchester United.
Thank you. All right, then you have Newcastle, Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool are on fire. They're supposed to have a blip at some point somewhere. And I've promised this. Mark doesn't believe it's coming. And I'm thinking it might actually be at St. James Park. They are going to be surprised. They're going to be held to a draw. Newcastle should be good for a result here. Don't ask me where it's coming from, but I think it's coming. They do a bad result.
Mark Sully's version of a bad result of a blip is a draw at St. James Park.
So yeah, it starts it.
I'm going for a 2-1 Liverpool.
All right, we have Man City versus Forest. I don't know if there's anyone betting against Haaland.
Yeah, there will be. I've seen people take Haaland out of their fantasy big teams actually now. Because they go, the supply is not coming and the goals are not coming.
Yes.
But because Jeremy Doku is back and so is Savinio and so is Grealish, and because Pep is going to be a bit desperate, I think at home he's going to open it up and try and press home his advantages, which are his abilities to attack with the players that he has. Because defensively, he's shaky because of the absentees and the fitness issues, and out of central midfield, he's shaky as well. So the only way City can stop their current run of seven games without a win is to actually go out there and attack Forest. Now, Forest will find spaces in behind City because they do it very well. Hudson-Odoi and Anthony Elanga. And they set up Chris Wood really well because of the way they attack and everything. I think City are going to beat them up. It won't be just a win. They're going to
seriously.
Like seriously. I mean, there's got to be a reaction unless Pep is completely done. Unless somebody's telling me Pep should just wind up and go home. I think it starts on Wednesday night.
Okay, Mark.
Well, for those of you who questioned Rodri's value to Man City or whether he deserved the Ballon d'Or, he's showing you that he's the best player in Europe. Without him, City can't function. Who would have thought that Rodri would be that valuable to Man City? Well, City's confidence has been torn to shreds. They're giving away so many balls. It's amazing how many balls. Liverpool are a pressing team. They press high, but it's amazing how many. There are so many misplaced passes. David Silva,
Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva. Yes, yeah. I think City won't lose. I'm going for an extra in this one. I'm going for a 2-2.
2-2. Wow.
All right.
Okay.
We have Everton, Liverpool. Surely Big Sam's ghost must still be haunting Everton, right?
The Merseyside derby. Now, the way I'm saying the blip is starting. If Liverpool don't win at Newcastle, like I'm thinking, the Everton game will be tough for them as well. But I have watched this derby for so long that I stopped hoping for an Everton win. I gave up on hoping for Everton wins because they're very, very rare, even if it's at Goodison Park and not at Anfield. So I'm going for Liverpool away win in this one. It's
safe.
It's the same as when I watched Spurs versus Arsenal.
Yes.
I've watched Spurs Arsenal games looking for a Spurs win in a derby, and it's
Nah.
very rare. So it's the same here. This is what is a bit more rare. So I'm going for Liverpool win over Everton away from home. Yeah.
I think Liverpool will not win this one. I'm going for a draw. I'm going for 1-1.
Wow, it's the other way around. Okay.
Only because this is Everton, this is the
Surprising.
derby, and Everton. I think I've got to put an end to the road. I'm going for 1-1.
Okay, so we have Spurs Chelsea. I don't know if Chelsea can, finally find it.
That's another one that's a toughie because it's also a derby. It's a London derby. There's a time when Chelsea used to go to Spurs and win, and they used to call it 3-point lane when Spurs were playing at White Hart Lane. And Chelsea guys would call it 3-point lane because while everybody else struggled there, Chelsea would walk in there and win. And that continued even through the Mourinho years and all. But this Spurs is different. And under Ange Postecoglou, they're playing good ball, they're attacking really well. But Chelsea are also in a very, very fine moment. Right now, Chelsea's form is just amazing. The only worry you had about them over the last 3-4 games, ironically, was the form of Cole Palmer, because Palmer is actually the main man at Chelsea. But they've been winning games recently while he's looked a bit average. He bounced right back. I thought that he played very, very well at the weekend, Cole Palmer. And so the way I see both teams and the way they play, for me, there can only be one result. They're going to cancel each other out. This is the derby, actually, that's going to be high scoring. Yeah.
I mean, the decision to make Enzo Fernandez looked a dubious one, but I think it's had an effect on him. He's playing very, very good football. Best football he's played since Chelsea signed him from Benfica. And, I mean, Chelsea actually have been doing the business. We've been talking about Liverpool and Man City's problems and etc. But Chelsea have been doing the business. They've put on a run. They're scoring goals. They're not leaking that many at the back. And I just think they're a bit Spurs.
3-point lane continues. That's not under the lane, but
I think they're a bit Spurs. I think they prevail 2-1 Chelsea.
Okay. Girona
Girona
versus Madrid.
I'm giving Real Madrid the away win. No. Actually, no. The way Girona play their football, I'm going for a draw. I'm going for another draw here. Girona. I changed my mind. Girona and Madrid will be a draw.
Bellingham is finally playing like Jude Bellingham. Mbappe is beginning to look the part. I already knew it would come good at Real Madrid. As good as Girona are, I'm going for Real Madrid. 2-1.
2-1. Yeah.
So I go for a draw there. And
Right. So back home we have KCCA versus Express. I don't know if KCCA will dance to their jazz tunes now.
Now,
Yeah,
my guys have been playing well lately. Express, they've recovered as well a bit. They're still mid-table club, but they've had some good results lately, including that last win over Ankole at home in Nachivubo. But they're going to the Philip Omondi Stadium. They're going to the current favourites to win the title. And this, I say this with a bleeding heart, the way I did with the Arsenal Man United game. I'm going for a home win for KCCA.
Okay.
KCCA haven't won actually 3 games in a row. They drew with Vipers at St. Mary's Stende, and then they were beaten by NEC.
Yeah, they were beaten.
They were beaten by NEC, Mzab Mujaba. They also didn't beat Lugazi. They drew 1-1. So KCC themselves aren't playing impressively. If anything, Express has actually been playing a better football lately. And Mark has called his team a mid-table team. They may be mid-table, but it's Express. At the end of the day, it's the KCC are lining up against Express and not a mid-table team. And teams like Express, they do have a tendency to raise their levels against teams competing for the title. Express just beat AC Villa the other day at Nachivubo. So, because this is Express, and there's some good players at Express. Actually, the guy who's been very, very instrumental at KCC is Coach Kebi. Badru Kadu, who knows everything about
Express,
KCC.
yes,
So
yeah.
I'm going for a draw. I think Express have it in them to frustrate KCC and leave Lugogo with something. I'm going
Maybe
for a
with
draw.
a Senionjo goal or something.
Yeah.
No, I still believe.
I'm going for a draw.
KCC won't keep a clean sheet. Express will score, but I think KCC will win. There you are.
Guys, thank you so much. That's it, folks, for today. Mark2Mark is always here to keep your weekends lively and your sports brain sticking. So stick around for more banter, insight, and of course, Pulse Wisdom every weekend. And what I can say that until then, keep sporty and bet responsibly, or at least hilariously. All right? All right,
Sure.
see you. Thank you.